Welcome back everybody, hope you're doing well. Today's video is a very exciting one because I'm going to get started with setting up my first ever reef aquarium. Now reef tanks take a little bit more time and patience than planted tanks, so I'm thinking to split this series up into several parts. So today we'll go over the equipment, do the hardscape and fill up with water so we can start the cycle. And then next video will be adding corals, video after that will be adding fish, something like that. Let's just get started. Okay, so quick background story first. I've basically been keeping fish tanks my entire life, but always just had fresh water. Never really gave salt water a try. But I mean, especially in the past few years and with the growth of my YouTube channel, I've been setting up tanks more frequently and I was kind of ready for a new challenge. So I thought, well, we have to give salt water a try as well. And I was really inspired by this new trend that's going on with saltwater macroalgae. So a couple of weeks ago, I set up this tank and this is going to be a saltwater tank for macroalgae. This one is almost done cycling. I've ordered the macroalgae, it's going to be here in the next few days, so super excited about that. But yeah, the more research I was doing on saltwater, like the more excited I got. And now I really want to give like a proper reef tank a try as well. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So the first step of course is to get a tank. So I went ahead and bought myself a Waterbox Cube 10. Really like the dimensions and I like that I still managed to fit it on the shelf as well. So let me just double check the dimensions actually. It's a 10 gallon or 40 liter cube. So from left to right it's 35 centimeters, which is let's say 13.5 inch. I think the height is the same, yeah. And then front to back it's a little bit smaller of course because we have the filter compartment in the back. So the actual water compartment is more or less 26 centimeters or 10 inch and a bit, 10.3 inches. So yeah, nice cube, definitely not the cheapest option though. This set was 170 euros. I feel like saltwater tanks are more expensive than freshwater tanks somehow. But then again, this is an all-in-one kit, so it also has a return pump, filter media, stuff like that. Not the light though. The light that I'm using is a Blade Coral Grow from Aqualumination. This one was actually sponsored by Bulk Reef Supply, so shout out to them. They sent me a few other goodies, which I'll show you in a minute. Yeah, let's actually take the tank out of the shelf, move it to the table so we can have a look at it properly, set up properly. Yeah, let's do that. So this Waterbox kit doesn't come with the light, but it does come with a few other things. So the filter compartment is separated into 3 chambers. On the right side we have the return pump. In the middle compartment we have some filter media. So you get 2 of these large sponges. You get 1 bag with some biomedia balls. And 1 bag with some activated carbon. And in the left chamber you get this filter sock. Never worked with this before, but we'll see how it performs. So that's it in terms of the Waterbox kit. And then I've added the light. And then to get started with everything, I actually had to do a few things yesterday. So let's watch that first. Okay, so it's now the day before I'm going to set up this Waterbox Cube 10. And we need to prepare some salt water. So over here I've got roughly 25 liters of pure RO water. So we need to add salt to this. So this is the first time I'm doing this, but it should be very easy. We just need to add 390 grams of salt to 10 liters of RO water. So this is 25 liters, so we need roughly 1 kilo basically. So I got a scale, I got a container. So I'm just gonna measure it out. Here we go, this is 979. So I'm just gonna dunk this all in. Just like so. Of course, the majority of the salt is now just lying on the bottom of this bucket and it's not really mixed properly. So I'm gonna take this pump, add this to the bucket, leave this running for a few hours and then hopefully that way the salt will get mixed in properly and we should have salt water ready to go soon. Now the main reason I wanted to prepare the salt water a day in advance is because of this product right here. I'm going to be using BioSand from Aquaforest. Now, if you've been doing any sort of research on saltwater aquariums, you will know that most of the time they'll use something called live sand. It's basically just I think sand that's packaged with a little bit of salt water and some beneficial bacteria. This is basically the same, but it's sort of like DIY live sand. So in here we have sand and then we also have 2 small bottles. One is beneficial bacteria and the other one is food for beneficial bacteria. So we need to mix these 2 bottles with some salt water and then add that to this bag. leave it for 24 hours. And after 24 hours you have live sand with beneficial bacteria. So pretty cool system. So the salt water has now been mixing for quite some time already. The water is nice and clear. Everything is nicely dissolved. Just to make sure the salinity level is correct, I'm going to take my refractometer. It's just a little test to see if we have the right salinity. So I'm just going to take a little sample. And then we need like 2 drops. Close it. And then hold it against the light. And then we should have a salinity of 33 ppt. And I think ppt stands for parts per thousand. And it's correct, so perfect. So we can now prepare our sand. So I'm going to take a full cup of salt water. And then we crack open these 2 bottles. Add it to our salt water. So we'll just give that a little mix. And then add it to the sand. Okay, so that's our live sand prepared. Now we just need to keep this bag open, place it in a nice warm location. So I think I'm actually going to put it on the heater, leave it there for 24 hours, and then tomorrow we can get to work. Okay, so back to the present time, we have our live sand prepared, we have our salt water prepared. So I think we're now ready to get started with setting up this nano cube. I think the best way to get started is to do the hardscape first. Yeah, once the hardscape is done, we can add in the live sand. And then we can move the tank back to the shelf, then fill up with water, and then start the cycle. I think that's the best way to go about things. So yeah, let's do the hardscape first. So for my first ever saltwater reef tank, I got a little bit of help from the guys over at Aquaforest. They've sent me a bunch of free products, including this huge box full of reef rock. Guys, this is what's normally used in reef tanks. So it's like handmade, really porous rock, perfect for beneficial bacteria. So yeah, let's see what's inside this box and let's see if we can come up with a nice hardscape. Okay, so we got like a couple of flat pieces. This piece over here is like an arch. So we have like a cave in the center, it's pretty cool. And then we have a slightly thicker piece and taller. And then there's a few more pieces inside the box as well. So yeah, we have a lot to choose from. I'm thinking because it's quite porous, we should also be able to kind of break it off quite easily, because there's no way that I'm gonna manage to fit these large pieces in this cube. So let me just get a little creative, see if I can come up with something. Yeah, I think we're getting somewhere. Of course, these front pieces have to be flat, and now they're a little bit tilted because the rock in the back is quite heavy. But I like where this is going. The only thing is that this big rock is now completely against the back glass. I don't think that's really what you want, because then like dirt is going to get behind it and you can't really clean it. So we need to like bring it a little bit more forward. Let me just keep going and see if we can make it better. Okay, I haven't really made any like huge changes, but I think this will be the final hardscape. I quite like how it looks. Has a nice shape to it. I hope it's not too much hardscape. It's a bit hard to imagine how this is going to look with corals, because yeah, no experience with that. But I think it should be okay. A little view from the top as well. So it's not really touching the glass anywhere, so we should be able to clean everything quite easily. Only over here, this tip is touching that back glass panel, but behind it we still have space, so I think it should be good. I think the next step is to secure the hardscape. Now, I've watched a bunch of other reef tank tutorials, and when it came to securing the hardscape, they were always using some type of cement or epoxy. I'm sure that works really good, but it does take quite a long time to cure. So I think for this tank, I'm just going to use the same method that I always use in my freshwater planted tanks, and that is the liquid type superglue together with cotton pads. And this becomes completely inert underwater, so this should be reef safe as well. So I'm just going to take little tiny pieces of cotton pad and kind of just wedge them in between the rocks that I want to connect. Then soak that with the liquid type cyanoacrylate superglue. And then it basically becomes rock solid within a few seconds, so let's try that. Okay, the hardscape is secure. We can do a little test. Can wiggle it, but it's not really moving anymore, so that's good. So we can now add in the sand. And after that, I think we're almost done. We just need to prepare the filter, then move it to the shelf, fill it with water. Yeah, that's it for today. Okay, let's add in the sand first. Okay, so this stuff should now be full of beneficial bacteria. Yeah, there's no way to tell that, of course. It doesn't really smell like bacteria, but I guess that's a good thing. Here we go, sand is in. Obviously it looks a little bit messy right now, but that'll fix itself once we add in the water. So the next step is to prepare the filter, and then we can put it back on the shelf. So I'm thinking of making a few changes to this filtration compartment because I think we can make it better. So this is what came supplied with the water box. We had this filter stock, 2 of these sponges, some activated carbon, and then these bio balls. I'm not going to be using this, and I'm probably not going to be using this either because with the way it sits inside this first compartment, just like so. Well, let me increase the brightness a little bit. So it's very easy for water to kind of just flow around this sock and not so much go inside it. Also over here, like there's a huge gap. And I guess it has to be that way because otherwise the water could easily like flow over, you know. So of course you want to avoid that, but I just don't think that this is very useful. Well, that was a mistake. I will explain why in a few minutes, but yeah, don't remove this filter sock. It's there for a reason, and unless you really know what you're doing, I would just keep things the way they're supposed to be. So I'm thinking to put the activated carbon all the way on the bottom in the first compartment. Okay, you can't see, but it's all the way in the bottom now. And then those 2 sponges, I can squeeze them in there as well. So those 2 sponges are now sandwiched in there. And then on top of that, I can put this white filter floss. And this I can just change out every few days or so, you know. This will then really polish the water. So that leaves the second chamber, and this is actually the biggest chamber, completely empty. So I want to fill it up with this stuff. This is another product from Aquaforest, the live biofill. So this is filtration media already settled with nitrifying bacteria. And it says here that if you use this, then you're immediately ready to go. You don't necessarily have to wait. You could immediately add your corals and add your fish. We're not going to do that. We're still going to wait a few weeks. But yeah, it's just nice to have a good amount of beneficial bacteria and lots of biomedia, you know. So this is what it looks like. Comes in this sealed bag. Kind of has a funky smell to it as well. So I think I'm going to fill up a few of these media bags and then just drop it in the bag there. Okay, that's it. Both chambers completely filled with media. As a last step, I'm going to add a small heater to the last chamber where the return pump is. This one is set to 26 degrees, I think. Yeah, 26. Should keep this tank nice and warm. And that's it. Okay, a few days have passed. The water is nice and clear. It actually cleared up quite fast, only after a few hours already. Everything's looking good, but I did make one huge mistake when I was upgrading the filter compartment. So when I filled it up with water, I already noticed that the water level in the third compartment wasn't very high. It was basically only like halfway up the aquarium or so. And then a few days after that, I was gone for the whole day. Came home, had dinner with my girlfriend, and while we were having dinner, I heard this weird noise. So I was like, what is that? So okay, I went to check out the aquarium and I heard this like crispy, weird noise, and I checked. It was basically the heater. There was no water surrounding the heater anymore, so it was kind of just running dry. So it was almost like smoldering, I guess. So that could have ended very differently if none of us were home that day. So yeah, don't follow my advice on upgrading the filter compartment, just leave things as they are. I've removed that old heater, replaced it with a new one, and I've also removed the fine filter floss and the filter sponges. So I have the filter sock, then the biological media, and then the return pump with the heater. That's how it is set up right now. So the only thing left to do is to let this aquarium cycle. It's going to take a few weeks. I'm trying to speed up the process by adding some of this stuff. Aquaforest BioS. So these are nitrifying bacteria. And I'm also adding in some fish food almost every single day just to create some ammonia source and also just some food for the beneficial bacteria. Also, maybe cool to give you guys an update on the macro algae aquarium. Macro algae arrived. I already did an update video on this, but maybe you guys haven't seen that one. So the algae has been in this aquarium for a few days now. It's already growing, it's already looking good. But this aquarium is currently suffering from some, I think, diatoms. There's a little bit of brown algae on the substrate, a little bit on the glass as well. But yeah, the algae is growing, so I'm very happy about that. I'm gonna let this one, yeah, just run like this for a few more weeks, a few more, I don't know, maybe days. I'm thinking to go to the shop soon and pick up a small cleanup crew or something. Just maybe a snail or so, just kind of clean up the brown algae in the sand. But yeah, we'll see how this one develops. So I think that's it for this first part of this Reef Aquarium series. Really excited to get this project going. Can't wait to have the first corals in here. Hope you guys are excited as well. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.